Good evening.
Hi.
Hi, Jessica.
Hi, Kristin.
Welcome to Mystic Matters. We're so thrilled to be here today, and I'm thrilled with my pinch-hitting co-host,
Hey, thanks.
Jessica Patterson from Town of Groton Parks and Rec.
Thank you very much. This is super exciting, and I'm happy that we're able to do this today.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Me too. This is going to be a good show. Before we start, I do want to let you know that we just had this really great membership benefits seminar.
Yeah.
And that teaches people how to use their benefits and what kind of promotions we have available. And we have room for 6 people. Our next one is going to be the second Monday in May. So if you go to our website and sign up for that, we can get you in, and then you can start to use your membership.
I would absolutely recommend it. I just attended the last one. Stephanie, who's the marketing manager, had reached out to me, and there are so many things I didn't know that I could do as a member of GMCC, so definitely check it out.
Absolutely. And tomorrow is Business After Hours at Stonington Harbor Yacht Club. They do it every couple of years, and it's a great way to start out the spring, you know, looking at where the boats are going to go and just thinking about the water. So you can sign up for that at mysticchamber.org as well.
Yay.
So today we have with us one of our new members, and actually they've been around and they're taking care of things.
Yeah, absolutely.
In our region, it's Avalonia Land Conservancy. I'd like to introduce Chuck Toal, who is Director of Development. Yes?
Yes.
Yes, welcome.
Thank you, Kristin. It's nice to be here.
I'm so glad that you're here.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
How about you just start us off and tell us, what is Avalonia Land Conservancy?
Well, first of all, Avalonia is a 50-year-old organization. We just celebrated our 50th year this year.
Wow.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's been a very exciting year. It is a 501c3 nonprofit, and we are based here in New London County, and we serve most of the county. And we have about 100 preserves here in southeastern Connecticut, and about 5,000 acres of land. So it adds up to a lot of property that we have here in the southeast. And Avalonia has 2 part-time staff, but for the most part, the rest of Avalonia is all volunteers, and we have some wonderful volunteers. And just recently, we've become accredited. It's kind of the gold seal of approval for land accreditation.
Now, how long have you been with the organization?
Just about 2 years. So I'm kind of new on board. The position was created to help them develop membership and fundraising.
Okay,
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
And so I saw there, Frank showed the logo. Is that a new image? What's happening with
Yes,
that?
that's an exciting development that we've just done.
Wow.
The old logo that we had was actually an old seal. If you know how you emboss paper with a seal.
Oh, I thought you meant like the animal, the seal.
No, no. But when you legally emboss the paper with a seal, that was our logo. And so that was created 50 years ago. So today, our logo is much different because today's environment is so very different. And it was created by a great communications team and a designer so that it could easily be seen in different formats. See it on your computer, on your cell phone. So it's very adaptable.
Yeah.
And it's trying to attract a little bit younger clientele as well.
Like Town of Groton, maybe?
What's up?
You guys have that seal?
Yeah.
I'm always using that but Parks and Rec has come up with some new.
Yeah, branding is so important. It's like,
Yes.
it literally is your trade card. And
Yes.
one of the things I loved about the logo is the colors. Like, it's very welcoming.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also something that we did is so we can adapt it to our website. And I don't know if you know what a favicon is.
Oh, yeah.
Is
Oh
that-
yeah, so it's a little
what is
16
that?
by
The
16
little logo
pixels.
that's up top next to
tiny,
it.
tiny,
Yep.
tiny version. And you see it up on the top of your computer when you open up a new tab. There's a little logo up there. And our old logo looked like a green spot. And so the new logo, you can really see it. It's winking at you all day there on the computer. So it's really worked out very well. And we're looking at doing things with it like animation, so that we can slide it in from the side and animate it. And we're using that in a lot of our materials, making it fun and lighthearted and not so quite serious.
That's pretty
That's cool.
cool.
It is very
Yeah.
cool.
It doesn't sound like a 50-year-old organization anymore.
No.
It sounds like you're...
Well, we have a great team of people, and I have to call out our volunteers. They have so many skills and talents that they bring to the table.
There they
and
are.
that creativity. Yes, from our trails team. The trails team that's pictured here right now maintains our trails. We have a boundary marking team. All of our boundaries must be marked so people know where the borders are. And each year, each of our boundaries need to be walked. So, and that's bushwhacking. You have to go around a 100-acre preserve, and there's no trail around the perimeter. So you have to go and check to make sure all the boundary markers are there.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah.
It is a great job. People
sign
love
up
it.
for that.
It's a great day, although you have to do it in the wintertime. You can't do it in the summertime
Right.
when the leaves are off of the trees.
Yeah.
It's the easiest time to walk the
That's an
boundaries.
important adventure, though.
Right.
it
And then
seems
we have
like.
another team that takes care of all of our records and our storage of record keeping. And so we have great talented people on those teams. And then we have a lot of standing committees too. So finance, stewardship, personnel. So there's over 120 volunteers that contribute to all of these different teams and committees and
Wow.
boards. And we have another 90 potential volunteers. We have a wonderful turnout from our community of people who are willing to help us.
So now, for anybody who's watching this and may be interested in becoming a volunteer,
Right.
how do they get involved?
Well, the easiest way is to visit our website, avalonialandconservancy.org, and then you can click on how to help us and look at the volunteer page. And there is a sign-up sheet on the volunteer page, but there's also a list of jobs. So there's kind of a help wanted area. So if anybody really had some specific skills,
Yeah.
that's where they would go. So we're looking for a party planner, if anybody wants to be a party planner.
I mean, I might know a couple people.
I bet.
Just
I
saying.
love that job.
It's
That's
a volunteer job, though,
It's
right?
a volunteer job. They're all volunteer jobs. We're looking for hike leaders. We're looking for people to serve on committees, finance. So there's all sorts of things that we have available for people to do if they choose to volunteer for Avalonia.
It's a very specific list. I did go look at it because after meeting Chuck, I was so very impressed with what they're doing and
Yeah.
and how many people are involved in this. Now, what grounds does it cover? Like, what is the area that the Avalonia Land Conservancy covers?
Right. Well, we have our service area is essentially New London County. Currently, we have properties in 8 towns.
Okay.
So in each of those towns, we have a town committee. And as we say, all conservation is local. So it's at that town level where people make the decisions as to which properties to preserve and how to steward the land. And so they have their fingers on the individual properties that are each of those towns. So it covers a big area. We're considered a regional land trust versus a land trust in an individual town. And that's the way the Land Trust Alliance, which is the national organization, is suggesting land conservation goes, is a regional effort and not a local effort.
So now, how do you go about acquiring new pieces of property?
Oh, there's all sorts of different ways. Many people come to us because you may be a farmer and you want to protect your land, or you may have inherited property and you want to protect that land. And so we look at each piece of property individually. And I say that each property speaks to you because they're different. Each family is different, each location is different, and we're really looking at conservation value. The difference here is that a town will look at open space and the town will consider a schoolyard or a golf course as being open space. But for a conservancy, we're really looking at protecting wildlife corridors. We're looking at protecting aquifers where we're getting our drinking water. And we're also looking at the connectivity. So is this piece of property near or adjacent to another piece of conserved land? We have a system where we rate the land, and so there's about 8 or 10 different criteria. We kind of add them all up and average them out, and if they score high, we continue the conversation. If it scores low, we have to say to the landowner, not really for us right now.
So you have some pieces that you've acquired recently. Do we have a
Yes.
map that shows that?
Yes, we have some very exciting properties that we've done. The most current one was a very generous
Oh, there it is.
donation by Leo Antonino. And if you know the Antonino name, they own a number of car dealerships here in this town. And they're wonderful conservation-minded people. And in this particular case, they've donated 41 acres.
Wow.
And you can see by this map that it's just north of I-91, or I-95, excuse me, and it's close to the Groton Reservoir. So it's a very integral piece of property. And if you look closely at this map, you'll see landowners that are all around it. So this property is a recreation area. It has trails on it. It's an aquifer protector because it protects the drinking water. It's a buffer between those residents and the reservoir. So this is a wonderful piece of property that has recently been donated to us.
Wow.
There's a second piece of property that we'll show you a map in just a moment. That's Triton Preserve. And Triton Preserve is located on the borders of Griswold, Preston, and North Stonington.
Okay, here we go.
And this preserve is 608 acres.
Nice.
It's huge. And so as you can see, it has a lot going on this property
Now-
and has a lot of conservation value.
Are all of these properties that you maintain, are they open to the public? Like, can anyone go and use them, hike them, picnic? Are they pet friendly? I did just get a puppy. Super
Yes.
excited.
They are, but there's some rules. Basically, if we receive funding from the state, we must make our property open to the public.
Okay.
There are some properties that are very sensitive, let's say like a marshland, where there aren't any trails. So you can go onto the edge of the property and look at the beautiful view, but there's not any access to it.
Okay.
So I would say about 60% of our properties are open to the public, and they have trails on them, and you can access them and hike on them. Yes.
So the land trust keeps them from being purchased ever, like in perpetuity? Is
In
that
perpetuity.
the idea?
That's a big word. Yes.
You sounded very fancy.
You did it. I get tongue-tied on that one.
And
It means it lasts forever.
okay.
And so, yes, there's a couple of ways that we can acquire land. One is fee land, which is land that we own. And so obviously we own that forever. But we have to make sure that we can take care of it forever as well. So we have to set aside funds into stewardship funds so that that money will generate interest so that we can maintain our properties and be able to do that. And the second way to acquire land is an easement, which means that owner continues to own the land but gives up certain development rights. And so that owner can continue to sell it and maintain it and live on it, but they've given up the right to build a house, put in a foundation, drill a well, and that's forever as well. And stewarding an easement is a real task because you have that other person that's always involved in that, and you have to monitor that easement every year with that landowner.
Do you have say a lawyer on retainer? It seems like we would have to have a lot of legal prowess.
Several.
Yes.
Yes. We have 3 different area attorneys that help us out with various transactions so that we have a lot of help. And our board members have a lot of expertise in finance and legal issues. And a lot of our volunteers on our acquisition committees and our finance committees all pull together when a new acquisition comes into consideration. All those committees have to go through a review of these properties to make sure that it's well suited for us.
We were just talking about the eminent domain issue from the 90s.
Right.
We have a book club and we just read The Little Pink House. And so we were talking about that.
Right.
And this seems like so much of a better use for land, per se.
Sure. Eminent domain can be executed by a town or a state, even though we may own it. We're subject to eminent domain. If a power line had to go through or a highway had to go through, that is a possibility
Okay.
for us, but a very remote one.
Couldn't it be the other way around too? Like, couldn't it be eminent domain in your favor?
You can't really condemn land to conserve it for conservation purposes.
That's too bad.
Nice try.
Unfortunately, we wish it were that easy.
Like, but do the reverse of put up a parking lot. You do the reverse of that. Sing a song that'd be about, like, put in a bird sanctuary instead.
Yeah, well, once it's developed, it's very hard to turn something back into wild space.
Right.
But there are a lot of advantages to conserving land. Actually, land conservation will stabilize a community by stabilizing the taxes. we have an expression that say trees don't go to school. So that when you acquire a piece of property, your cost of services stabilize, because the cost of services per tax dollar from a conserved piece of land, for every tax dollar that's raised, only 25 cents goes into cost of services, versus if you developed a house on that piece of property, about $1.25 in services versus each tax dollar that's generated. So conserving land makes a lot of sense for communities to balance both growth and conservation and actually stabilize your tax base.
Now, do you have to fight in the hearings, or
Sure.
you do all
I wouldn't
that?
say fight,
Okay.
but each of our properties has to go through the same reviews and applications that most other towns have to do. So all the rest of those types of things need to be done to acquire the property, and proper filings and execution of the agreements. An average agreement will take a couple of years to do. This is a marathon, not a sprint. And each piece of property, we plan for it on a long-term basis, both in its acquisition and its care.
Yes.
I was just thinking, so kind of from a quality of life perspective,
Right.
how wonderful is it to have this much like dedicated open space? Do you know what I mean? Like if you want to go for a hike, if you want to get out and be involved,
Yep.
do you have any recommendations? Because it looks like you maintain a lot of property. Do you have any local hikes or trails that you would suggest for people
Absolutely.
trying out?
Yeah, I call them islands of refuge.
Ooh, okay.
Places to go
Hashtag.
when you really want to, when you kind of want to get away from it all
Yeah.
and leave the cell phone aside. And it's a nice place to just go and walk and collect your thoughts. We also have a couple of great programs for families to enjoy, one of which is called Hike and Seek. And this gets families and kids outdoors together. And what we do is there's about 25 of our properties that have hike and seek clues on them. It's kind of like a treasure hunt.
Ooh.
So it teaches young people to use their technology, their computers, to go onto our website and find one of those properties. And then there are clues on our website that the young person can go and take your parents onto the property, go for a hike, and find the different clues that are on that property.
Oh, wow.
So it's kind of like a cool treasure hunt. Find the split rock, find the man in the tree. This photograph that you're seeing here with us, or you saw a few moments ago,
we're back up to little boy.
It was a hike that was led by Bruce Feldman, who is a naturalist. He's a professor at Yale, and he leads some of these events. And in this case, Bruce is showing this young man some of the beautiful things in nature. And so it's pretty cool to see our preserves through the eyes of a child. And we have a couple of hike and seek hikes that are coming up. One is on the 15th of April, and that's during school break. It's actually on a Monday. So if mom and dad want to take their kids to an event during school break, you can take them on the hike and seek hike on the 15th of April.
Okay.
And you can visit our website. It has all the information about that particular hike. It'll be pretty cool.
So what is the Pine Swamp Trail? I think we had a picture of the entrance there. Is that?
Well, I put that one up mainly because we have a large brown sign that most people have seen
Right.
on all of our properties. Once you have seen this sign, you're going to start noticing it all around the communities, because it's all our major properties have this sign which announces that this is a preserve that we have. So I use this just as an example of how to find some of our preserves. Look for that big brown sign,
Okay.
and it's pretty easy to spot the property. And chances are that that property will have trails on it. We have a very cool interactive map. So when you visit avalonialandconservancy.org, click on Our Preserves and a map of our preserves. And it is what's called an ArcGIS map. And so as you zoom in on a property, we've layered over our trails on that property, and we've even layered over stone walls and wetlands and landmarks that are on there. So you can use an app called Explorer. You can download that to your smartphone and then layer over Avalonia's maps and then take your smartphone onto any preserve and follow along the trails, and a pin will follow you on that trail so you'll never get lost.
Well, yeah, what
That
happens
sounds
if, I was going to
amazing.
say, what happens if you do get lost, but it
there-
doesn't sound like you would get lost.
Are there
Well,
physical trail markers too?
There are physical
Okay.
trail markers on the trail. Most of our properties have trail maps, so you can look at them in advance.
Okay.
But if you have a smartphone and you want to take a trail map with you and know exactly where you are, and you're coming to an intersection, let's say, and you don't know which way to turn, that Explorer app will show you exactly where you are and where those trails are going to
This is
go.
my type of hiking. It's almost like glamping.
It's
It's
awesome.
nice.
It's cool. Well, and the Triton Preserve, we have 10 miles of trails
Oh,
on
wow.
that property.
Where does that start?
It starts at the trailhead, and I'm trying to think of the name of the road. There's one entrance at the preserve, and so if you have that app, you can take that app with you on your smartphone
Yeah.
and hike the trails and see all the different landmarks and the stone walls and everything there.
Now, I feel like I've driven past now when you were talking about that brown sign.
Right.
Now I'm like, hold on a second.
I recognize it.
That road, like where the Pine School is?
Yes.
Pine, what's the name of that school? Yes.
Sure.
Sorry, Pine School. Out to in Stonington.
Right.
Do you have property out there? Do you think? The
We
Avalonia?
probably do. I'm not sure exactly where you're referring to.
Yeah, I know. Right? I'm just talking about this.
You know
and
that
Pine
that.
Point.
Pine Point. Yes.
Pine Point,
There we go.
yes.
Pine Point School.
In Stonington, North Stonington, Ledyard, and Groton, most every resident in those towns lives within about 10 minutes of an Avalonia property. We have
Wow.
so many of them within those towns that we're very close to most everybody. And we have lots of what we call abutters or neighbors to those properties that certainly know those properties and frequent them often. So I'm sure there is one close by.
So you had mentioned April 15th.
Yes.
That's the event that you have with the school
Yes.
children. Coming up to Earth Day, woo!
That's
April
right.
22nd. Are you guys doing anything big to celebrate?
Well, that's kind of close to Earth Day, I believe, and we've scheduled that to be our Earth Day event.
Oh, great.
And so that's going to be a great time out on the trail for Earth Day.
Awesome.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think I might be out on the trail myself
too.
for Earth Day. It sounds like. Now, is it okay to bring dogs out there?
Dogs are permitted, but they must be leashed.
Oh, of course.
He's looking right at you.
I know. I see that. No pressure.
You must
Well-
have a leash on that puppy.
A couple of things. There's a lot of wildlife on our property, and especially at this time of the year. We have a lot of nesting birds and wildlife that need to be protected. And so quite often a pup or a dog will start chasing things and get into some of those nesting areas. So keeping the dog on the leash is always safe for the dog and safe for our preserves. So we do ask that you have it on a leash.
Now, do you have other business partners or other nonprofit partners that help you? Because I
do.
was thinking if people that bird watch or,
Yes.
the Wildlife Conservancy, what are
Right.
your partners?
We have a lot of partners here. Connecticut Audubon, which is the birding organization. We partner with other land trusts. We're doing a hike on Trails Day with GOSA. We're co-sponsoring
June 1st.
June 1st.
Yes.
Very good memory.
What's up?
Groton Open Space and Avalonia will co-sponsor a hike on that day. We network with a lot of different organizations, both at the national, the state, and the local level. We couldn't do this without those partners. Again, they bring expertise to us and help us with our conservation plans and our baseline documents and the things that we need to steward our land.
And fundraising, you must be doing fundraising, yes?
Oh yes, that's my middle name.
Since your development, yeah.
On development, yes.
Right.
We've come off of a very successful fundraising campaign, which we started back in November. We raised over $100,000.
That's amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you. But there's more that we need to do because it takes a lot of money to both acquire land and to steward our land. So we'll continue to raise that money. We've also had a great membership campaign. which started right in December and is still ongoing right now. So if you'd like to be a member, visit AvaloniaLandConservancy.org and
I think
become
if you
a
type
member.
in Avalonia, then it might just
It
keep
will,
coming
in a
up.
search, it will.
You don't have to keep on typing
We
everything.
received 30 new memberships in our membership campaign, and 50 new abutters or neighbors came and joined us.
Oh,
So
wow.
just in a matter of a couple of months, we've had 80 new memberships that have signed on for Avalonia. That's astounding. We have 400 life members, and we have about 300 sustaining members. And so that's a substantial number of members for an organization like Avalonia.
Now, do they get T-shirts? Do they get hats? What's the swag deal?
Well, right now we've just done our logo over, so we don't have any new swag with the new logo on it, but we will be putting something together. Membership really just ensures that you have a place to go and a place in our community that's enjoyable to visit, and we have the protection of wildlife and clean air and clean water. So those are the benefits, and we really try to put all of our resources into conserving land instead of buying hats and T-shirts and things like that.
That's
So
fantastic.
I think so too. I think it's
Yeah.
the right way to go.
And you say clean air and clean water. So
Right.
the stewardship that comes with taking care of this land, that's done by volunteers and
Yes.
by the folks that are involved in your...
Right.
Now, do you have a board of directors too? Is
Yes,
that...
we do.
Okay.
Well, to answer your first question, yes, the land is stewarded by our volunteers, and it is a great board that we have. Our board consists of 11 people right now, and they have wonderful talents. One of those board members is the chair of the stewardship committee, and she oversees the stewardship of all of our land. So we have a very good, both a governing board, which means they're setting policy and looking to the future, and a working board. They're all involved serving as chairman of committees and in various capacities.
I feel like I'm just being awakened to
Right.
all this work that's been done for the last 50 years, and mostly because Chuck came into the door.
Well, not
right?
me. It's 50 years of history. A lot was
Obviously.
going on before I got here, but
It's true, but
Yes.
you seem to, you're a mover and a shaker, and
I love what I do. I really enjoy.
You can. It's very. You make it exciting.
I like to see the results. Nothing is more rewarding than to see a family out enjoying our properties, or someone that is attending one of our events and discovering things for the first time, especially kids in the Hike and Seek program. The picture that we had there of that little boy who was looking at just about everything Bruce Feldman pointed out. That little kid was down on his hands and knees. He just couldn't wait for the next thing to discover. And what's better than that, to have those kinds of things in our community? And it's here for people to enjoy. It really is important that people get to our properties and understand what it's all about.
So now, how can people get in contact with you again if they need to?
Well, there's a number of ways you can do that. Obviously, our website, which is what we've referred to, AvaloniaLandConservancy.org. We are on Facebook. We are on Instagram. And visit our properties. That's the best way to get to know us, because once you understand and know our beautiful land, you'll understand what Avalonia is all about.
That's
well,
awesome.
thank you so much
Yeah,
for
thank
coming
you.
on the show.
Oh, this is
It was
great. I really
great.
enjoyed it.
We're going to leave now and just go out in the wilderness.
Yeah.
So
Let's go for a hike.
Let's
Let's
do
make
it.
that another show.
Okay.
I love it.
we will see you next week. I'm Kristin Hartnett.
Jessica Patterson.
And I'm
Mystic-
Chuck with Avalonia. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And we'll see you next week on Mystic Matters.